Lisanne Froon and Kris Kremers were two very young women, students, roommates. They were traveling together in Panama for a couple of weeks. On April 1st of 2014, they vanished while hiking in a very mysterious way. They were missing for months until a gruesome discovery was made later on that pointed to something foul happening. In 2017, additional investigations showed that their disappearance and what happened to them might have been tied to other cases in the area. Let's take a closer look at what happened. Hello, my friends, and welcome to Not Famous. I want to talk to you today about a very mysterious and devastating missing persons case that consists of two young women that were traveling together back in 2014. We're going to dive into the details, and I want to give a quick shout out to my friend, my brother Kip Chavez, and his channel Kipopolis Chavez for pointing this story out to me. Lisanne Froon was 22 years old when she went missing. Her family described her as aspiring, optimistic, intelligent, a passionate volleyball player. Kris Kremers was only 21, my friends. She was open, creative, responsible. Both of them grew up in Amersfoort. These two women actually lived together. They had also worked together. They were great friends. They decided and saved for a long time to go visit Panama. They were going to stay there for 6 weeks. Part of that time, they were going to stay with another family there. They were actually going to do some volunteer work as well. Kremers and Froon, they arrive in Panama for their 6-week stay on March 15th of 2014. They kind of tour around the area for the first 2 weeks that they are there. Then they plan to spend the next 4 weeks with the family doing some volunteer work. On April 1st, they take the family's dog and they go to hike. That morning, they post about their trip, and they're last seen having brunch with two young men in the area before they leave to their hike in the area. The family that they're staying with became alarmed as soon as the dog actually came back home that evening, but the two women were missing. These two women text their families every single day. The family became very alarmed after 1 day, 2 days, 3 days missing, in which they did not receive any messages, any kind of communication from these two young women. On April 6th, a massive search effort takes place with police, dogs, canine units. The parents and the family members of these women showed up in Panama, and they started what would be a massive 10-day search. They put out a reward of $30,000 and began doing everything they could to find out what happened. Weeks later, a woman in a nearby area reports that she had found a blue backpack. It turns out it belonged to one of the women, and that it had absolutely not been there before. The backpack contained 2 pairs of sunglasses, $83 in cash, Froon's passport, a water bottle, Froon's camera, 2 bras, and the women's phones. Quick search of the phones showed that a few hours after the women went off for their hike, there were a massive number of calls to emergency lines, to 911 and 112 from their phones. First distress call had been made just hours after beginning their hike, one from Kremers' iPhone around 1639, and shortly after that, one from Froon's Samsung Galaxy around 1651. Except for one call that went through to 911 for just about a second before being cut off. April 6th, there were multiple failed attempts to enter the passcode, the PIN code, on the iPhone. Did receive the correct code. Between April 7th and April 10th, there were 77 attempts from the iPhone to call 911. Froon's camera, there are quite a few pictures from the hike on April 1st. Everything seems relatively normal. Then you jump to April 8th, and there are about 100 random photos, dark photos, photos from the back of their heads and such forth that don't quite add up. Photo that shows a small rock that had a mirror on it and some toilet paper that might have been given to them. The backpack led to new searches in that area. Shortly after, Kremers' denim shorts were found nicely folded on a rock by the river area that was close by. Months later, a closer look in the area made a gruesome discovery, that of a pelvis and a boot that had a foot inside of it. 33 fragmented bones were found in the area. did confirm that they did belong indeed to Froon and Kremers. Froon's bones still had some skin attached to them. Kremers' bones appeared to have been bleached by someone. My friends, something obviously bad happened. Somebody obviously knows what happened to these two young women, and yet nobody has ever been brought in. Nobody's ever been arrested or charged for the murder of these two young women. This story and many others like it, if you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. My friends, I hope you are having an amazing day and an amazing week. It's always good to talk to you. I will talk to you again very soon, and as always, adios amigos. Famous. Not famous.